Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Okay. Hi, Angela.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk with me today. I know how difficult it can be to make a decision to seek help, and I hope our time today will provide you with some structure, some guidance, and just some support overall. Before we start today, I do need to speak to you about confidentiality. You can be sure that everything we speak about will remain between us, although there are some exceptions to this. There's a lot, so please be patient. I cannot ensure your confidentiality under the following circumstances. If you intend to harm yourself, if you intend to harm another person, if you or I have a strong reason to believe that I or my colleagues or anyone else may be at risk of harm based on the information you've provided, if there's a reasonable suspicion to suspect that any child is being harmed in any way, and that's a child up to their 16th birthday. If you are involved in a court case and the judge thinks that this counseling session may be relevant, your file might be subpoenaed. If you have a complaint about a regulated health professional, so a doctor, nurse, a psychologist, a chiropractor, with respect to their inappropriate sexual behavior towards you, and you give us that individual's name, then we have to report that to their regulatory body. So that would be like the doctor or the College of the Doctors, Nurses College, or whatever. I know that seems like a lot, but the overarching theme here is that you can be free to speak your mind and know that this is a safe space. There are no judgments, and I'm not here to tell you what to do. We're here to work together so you can get yourself to a place where you don't have to feel bad, or if you can feel good about yourself. I know some of what we'll talk about today will be challenging. And if there's some things that you're not ready to talk about, please let me know. It's okay to take some time to respond. Silence can be helpful, and I don't want you to feel as though you have to rush. Do you have any questions, concerns, comments about what I just said? Do you need me to clarify anything?
No, I understand.
Perfect. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about what brought you here today. What's going on with you?
I've been struggling a lot lately, I guess over the last decade or so. I started drinking with my partner. I did this because things were really tough with her. We fought a lot, like all the time. I really wanted it to work, but I don't remember why I thought it was a good idea, but I started drinking to cope, I guess. It made it easier. It started just a few here and there, but then it started getting to the point where I couldn't stop and I don't know what to do anymore. I always feel really bad the next day.
Okay. It sounds like you're really committed to your relationship. Are you finding it challenging to maintain the relationship? And now that you're concerned that your drinking is having an impact on you, is that right?
Well, our relationship is over. 12 years of chaos and it's over. I don't know why we waited this long, but
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm really sorry to hear that.
yeah, I know our relationship wasn't healthy, but I stayed anyways because it was all that I knew. But we had talked about having kids and, doing the whole rest of our lives things, but we never did. We never did any of it. And now it's too late. I mean, it's probably for the best that we didn't.
Okay. When you say it's too late, what exactly are you referring to?
I mean, just too late for me to have kids, too late to start a family. I don't want to be 40 and just starting out having kids and everything.
Right. Well, you seem to be really passionate about this, and it seems to be weighing on you quite heavily. Is it fair to say that you're not only struggling to deal with alcohol, but that you're having some regrets about not starting a family?
Yeah, that sounds about right. And I think I might also be bipolar, but I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay, okay. Why do you say that?
Well, my moods are all over the place. Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm sad. Um, Sometimes I can get through the day without any trouble, but then there's others for no reason at all are just really hard and I can't even get myself out of bed.
All right. Well, you seem to have a lot on your plate right now. I can appreciate why you would want to talk to someone. My question to you is, where would you like to begin? You've outlined your concerns about drinking, your regret for not starting a family, and your concerns about potentially being bipolar. Is there something that stands out as the most important for you to start with?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. Why don't we try something? I'm going to ask you to rate those things on a scale of 1 to 10. So the scale doesn't have to be, anything, I don't know, I guess fancy or anything super complicated. It can be something that you decide on. So 1 for you could be the most important thing in the world, while 10 is not very important at all. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. So if I wanted to make the scale a 1 to 5, would that work too? I never understood the 10 part.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. 1 to 5 is fine. Um, how do you want to assign value to those numbers?
One can be the lowest and 5 the highest. I think that'd probably be the easiest.
Fair enough. Okay. So let's start with your concerns surrounding drinking and your desire to stop. It sounds like you've come to realize that it may be a problem. So that being said, on a scale of 1 to 5, how important is it for you to address this?
Probably a 5.
Okay. And what about your concern starting a family? Where does that rate on the scale?
Maybe a 3.
Okay. And finally, your concerns around your moods, the highs, the lows. Where does that rate on the scale?
I think that I might it might be a 4.
Okay. So these all seem to pretty much rate within, that really high level of importance to you, which is fine. But I believe to start, maybe we should focus on one of those things today. And then, depending how far along we get, we can move on to the next topic at our next session. That way, we're giving attention to those things that are concerning you the most and not leaving anything out. How does that sound?
Yep, that's fine, I guess.
Well, I don't want you to think that because we're only discussing one thing today, that everything else you've mentioned to me doesn't matter. That's not the case at all. It's important that we try to focus our attention, as we only have a limited time together for our sessions, and rushing through your concerns will ultimately not benefit you in the long run. So we're here to help you sort through some pretty strong feelings, and rushing through those could potentially leave things unaddressed. I want you to get the most out of this. Are you okay for us to proceed this way? Do you have any concerns that you want to address or any other suggestions about how we should proceed?
No, no, I'm okay with it. I'm just, I guess, scared a bit about going through with this.
I can appreciate how difficult it has been for you and how difficult it is to face what's ahead. But rest assured, I will help you along your way.
Thank you.
So you rated your concerns about your alcohol consumption at a 5. Are you able to tell me how you came to assign that level of importance to it?
I think it just kind of came to mind without me thinking about it, but I guess that's the one thing that I've been hiding behind for the longest time. I knew that I used it as a way to hide away and not deal with things, that are bothering me, but it's always been the one thing that I can really count on when I'm feeling bad, or just, I can just grab a drink and in no time I can forget about everything.
That is an incredibly powerful and honest answer. Thank you for sharing that. How do you think your life would change if you were to not have that reliance on alcohol as your coping mechanism?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's all about your thoughts and your perceptions. Excuse me. So take your time. How do you think your life would change if you were not to use alcohol as a coping mechanism? Just take your time. It's okay.
I'm not really sure. I think it's hard to imagine what it would be like without it. It's always been the one thing I can count on. It's always been my shoulder to cry on, but maybe it would mean that I don't have to wake up feeling bad about what I did. I could maybe look at myself in the mirror and not see a failure or someone that looks weak.
Okay. Well, what do you believe are the obstacles that are preventing you from using alcohol as that shoulder to cry on?
I guess it's just easier to use that instead of actually dealing with my issues. But I guess that's not really an obstacle.
Sure, it is. Facing the unknown is a huge obstacle and can be a huge reason why we as humans refrain from making changes. Change can be scary. I know this. Everybody knows this. Change is huge. So, for you, why is this important now?
I guess I've used it for such a long time now so that I can see that it doesn't do me any good. I mean, I don't drink all the time, but when I do go too far, I always feel so bad about it the next day. I hate myself and always swear that I'll never do it again. And then the next bad thing happens and I'm right back at it. Like I said, if I want to be able to look at myself and feel better, you just and know that I can just do better for myself.
I understand. Excuse me. So, what would you say is the amount you consume in a week, let's say, like a 7-day period?
I guess it depends on what kind of week I've had. Things happen at work, things happen at home. If I'm feeling really down, I suppose about 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes more, sometimes less.
Okay. So that's a fairly significant amount. Um, what would you say are some things that make you want to consume alcohol?
Well, like I said, when I was with my partner, we would get into a fight and I would drink like right after. Um, Now it can be, I don't know, sometimes things happen at work. It doesn't really matter what it is, just something that's frustrating. And all I want to do is get lost and forget about it. I think if I think about her or I think about all the things I don't have or missed or stuff like that, then I drink. I guess it's just whenever I can find an excuse.
Well, it sounds to me like you're on the right track and have acknowledged that there are things that need to change. It sounds as though you're ready to make that change. How do you think you could go about making those changes?
Um, I'm not really sure. I guess I haven't really thought about it.
Okay. Well, what do you think is feasible for you to do? Is there a specific goal or target that you want to reach, let's say within the next month or 30 days?
I guess I can find a way to not drink as much.
Okay. Well, what does that look like to you when you say try to find a way?
I don't know. I really don't.
Well, that's fine, no problem. Let's take a second to talk about some of that then, some of that goal setting to get you on that path to making those changes. So I know that this may sound trivial, but goal setting is the best way to go about making some big changes. Goals don't have to be anything huge or monumental, but they should be something that you can strive for. So starting small. We call these SMART goals. This doesn't track your intelligence or anything like that. It's just an easy way to set goals that are realistic for you at that particular point in your life. So we want these goals to be something that's specific. So for you, maybe finding a way to find different coping mechanisms to deal with your alcohol consumption, something that's measurable, something that we can track, something that's actionable, how you can reach that goal, something that's relevant, and something that's timeline based. So we talked about doing it within a 30-day period. So if we're talking about you making a change in regards to your reliance on drinking, let's brainstorm some ways that you can cope with the difficulties you encounter. What do you think are some ways that you could deal with those difficult emotions?
I guess I could start with not buying any drinks. That way I don't have to be tempted.
Sure, you could. Yeah, that's a good start. But do you believe that's something you could maintain realistically? If you've relied on this for so many years, you think you could just stop?
No, I guess not. What about having less? Would that work?
Sure. And what do you think less would look like? Well, what do you believe is something that you could reasonably do?
I guess I could maybe set a budget on myself so that, excuse me, um, on myself, like, so I know how much I can buy.
Yeah, okay. That could be a good start. And how much do you think you would allocate for that?
Well, I maybe spend about $100 on drinks. So maybe I could cut that in half, and that's way it's not so available, or it's not available.
Okay. That's a reasonable start. What else do you think would be helpful to deal with those challenging feelings, the ones that really drive you to drink in the first place? So you've talked about reducing the amount that you purchase, but how do you deal with the feelings that bring you to that point where you want to drink?
I don't know.
Are you okay?
Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
That's quite all right. Are you okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so you don't have any ideas what you could do to help you deal with those feelings. And that's okay. This is going to be a period of trial and error to find what works best for you. So I can make some suggestions, and if you're okay with it, you could try it out for a week. And when we meet again, we can discuss what worked, what didn't work, or even discuss things that you may have tried or thought of on your own that worked or that didn't work. Like I said, this is going to take some time. So something that has worked for others is something like using a journal. It can be very helpful to get your thoughts down on paper, especially when you find yourself so overwhelmed that it seems like you don't have a clear thought in your mind. This is especially good for reflection at a later time. It can show patterns in your thoughts, what those triggers are. So those things that really drive you to go for the drink. It can help you find ways to avoid those things or find other ways to cope. What do you think about that?
So like a diary, kind of?
Yeah, something like that. But it can really be anything you want. You can write whatever you want, and you don't have to start it with Dear Diary. It can just be, you're sitting around one day and you're thinking of something, you pick it up and you just start writing.
So do I have to write in it every day? Like how often do I have to write in it?
Well, that's up to you. There's no timetable, there's no schedule. It's whenever you feel it's appropriate or when it's needed. There's no formula for this. It's just a way to organize your own thoughts. I mean, it's cool if you feel it's something that won't work for you, we can think of something else.
No, it's fine. It's just kind of weird going back doing something that I did when I was a teenager.
I agree. It sounds like you're taking a trip back in time. But I personally think about when I was a teenager and how much I relied on that and how much it did help. It really is a great tool for reflection, though. Like once you go back and read some of your previous entries, you can reflect on how you felt then. And then with a much different mindset, a much clearer headset, you can think of ways to prevent the same thing from happening or occurring again, or finding another way to deal with certain emotions.
Okay, I can give that a try. I don't know how good I'll be, but I'll try.
Don't get caught up in it being good or bad. You're not looking to write the next bestseller. I mean, unless you are, then that's a whole different story. But, try it out for a week. And if it isn't for you, we can try something else.
Okay, well, I'll try it and see what happens.
Okay.
See how it goes.
Perfect. So I think we're close to being out of time here, but I just wanted to wrap it up here and see how you're feeling about everything. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on? Is there anything we missed right now? Anything like that?
I think I'm just scared. I'm scared that might not be able to do this.
Well, how about we just take it one day at a time? Like I said, change can be scary and it certainly doesn't happen overnight. There will be bumps along the way, but that's something we can work through. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay, so this week you're going to try to work on a budget for how much you spend on alcohol, and you're going to give journaling a shot. So we'll meet again next week to discuss how this went, and we'll bring up any other challenges that you encountered or anything else that we can talk about at that point.
Okay, sounds good. I'll see you next week.
Sweet.